Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, I am joined by Kay Daniels. She is the Financial Director for Small Businesses and is based in the West Midlands. Welcome, Kay.
Hello, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
That's all good. Kay, could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, it's my own business and I provide finance support to small businesses, mainly as a finance director, but I might also set up finance processes for small businesses or help them recruit a finance team, or set up some finance month-end, year-end things for them to follow.
Great. And how did you get into working in finance? Was it something you always wanted to do, or did you kind of find your way into it?
No, I didn't always want to do it. I loved foreign languages, so I thought I would be using my languages somehow. But I ended up thinking, no, I want to get a job and, earn my own money. So I was always in payroll and HR, until I moved to London and worked for a big travel company, and there was loads of scope to move around there. So it was easy for me to move into finance because I thought, oh, that's something I'd quite like to do. I quite fancied doing the exams. So I went to see the head of finance and he offered me a job. So then I could do the exams and also learn sort of on the job while I was studying. So that was really useful. And then I've been in finance ever since, really. Employed up until the time I had my son, he's 23 now, and so I wanted to have a better work-life balance, and so that I could be there for half the childcare with my husband. We wanted to share it, so we both left our jobs and both started different jobs so that we were both part-time up until the time my son started school.
Okay. And you said that you left your role because of your son being born. How easy was that transition from being part of a company to being independent?
And it was quite difficult, but I think because it was something I really wanted to do, to be there, while my son was small, I felt it was the right move. It was quite difficult to get those first few clients in the door, but then it sort of snowballed over time. And by the time he started school, I had far too much work and I was able to recruit my first employee then. So that was good, first member of the team, and then move into a proper office as well. So yeah, once I got the first, because obviously I was a new mum as well, so I didn't know what I was doing there and didn't know what I was doing in the world of self-employment. So yeah, it took a bit of getting used to, but because I really wanted to do it, I just sort of stuck with it.
Yeah, that's really impressive to hear. So, with your first few clients, what kind of businesses were they? Were they also independent businesses? Were they also new mums, anything like that? Or was it just completely different?
No new mums. I didn't actually at that time. I didn't know any other women in business. It sounds crazy now to say that, but that was my reality. I didn't know any other women in business, and it was sort of, somebody was introduced to me. One of my old employers introduced me to somebody who was looking for an accountant, and that person knew lots of other people. So once they knew I was doing a good job, then they introduced me to some other people. So that was really good as well. A good start for me, really. So it was just basic. I started off with basic accounting, putting together sets of accounts, and then learnt about running a business while I was going along, really.
Yeah, so it must have been quite challenging, sort of having a good work-life balance with a new baby, a new business, everything thrown in together. Like, what tips do you have for finding a work-life balance for anyone starting out with a new child?
Well, my husband was brilliant. We did really do 50-50 of the childcare, the house, everything. So it was, he'd be getting in the door and I'd be dashing out to a client. So it was a bit, it was a bit hectic, but it's hectic anyway when you have a baby. So it was just something we got on with really, and just did what we needed to at the time we needed to do it. I suppose we didn't sleep as much as we should have been doing, but you know, that's part of life. It was okay. We got through it.
Yeah, I guess when you have a new baby and a new business at the same time, you don't know any different, do you? So you just find a way to make everything work, and you do just push through,
Yeah.
especially with the sleepless nights. Yeah, no, that's really cool to hear. Okay, so in terms of what should we talk about next? So, okay, so you started out your own business, and this was sort of pre-social media, pre all the internet stuff going on at the minute. How did you sort of get yourself out there? How did you get out and network? Was it a case of going to in-person events, or what differences are there now?
I didn't. So getting myself, I literally remember printing off flyers, making up some little flyers, getting them printed, and going and delivering them through people's doors, um, or through office doors.
Love
And
it.
also, I used to look in the local newspaper to see if anyone was advertising for an accountant, looking for an accountant or bookkeeper or anything finance related. And actually, that's how I got one of my very first clients, who I stayed with them for years and years until they eventually sold their business, and I helped them go through that process. So, you know, it did work. But yeah, I forgot nothing was online, of course. And then networking, I I think I came across, I don't know how I first heard about an all-female networking group. And I just went along. It was one Christmas and they were having this big party. I went along, met some amazing women, and then became part of that network. And I'm still friends with a lot of those people today. Um, all wonderful women, all doing their own thing, and it was sort of what I needed, because you were able to bounce ideas around as you do today at networking groups, really. It was just from working on you completely on your own, that was sort of the thing I was looking for, really. So it was amazing to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Once you kind of find a support network, it really
Yeah.
makes a difference to your working day, especially if you are out on your own doing things. So, yeah. How much time do you spend networking now?
Well, it moved to Birmingham 3 years ago, or was it 4 years ago? Nearly 4 years, probably. But then, of course, lockdown happened. Then there was a family illness, so my work, and I'd already decided to take a year off because needed to look for somewhere to live. Went from renting to buying. All that time was gone, and so then I didn't know anyone here either, at all in business. So I had to network, even though it's quite daunting sometimes. I just had to do it, so that I still had my networks and my clients in London, but I wanted to form community here. So I'm still actually now trying new networking groups, but there's two or three that I'm part of, and then I've got to know individual people through there, so the network gradually builds then. And it's all about just getting to know people, really, rather than somebody. If I go to a networking group, nobody's going to say, "Oh, do you want to do my accounts? Do you want me to? I'm looking for a good FD," because they have to know you and get to know you and trust you, of course, because it's a big thing, trusting someone with your finances. So it always takes time, but it's lovely to just be part of new networks and meet new people, really. So
Yeah, I totally agree. So you mentioned just then that building trust is a huge part of helping anybody with their finances. So how do you build trust with your clients?
a lot of the time when people come to me, that they might be in a desperate situation, because they've left it far too long, and don't really know they can't leave it any longer. They've buried their head in the sand. That happens an awful lot with finance. So I think once you talk to people and they sense that you're, you know, a good person, and they want to unburden. It's not like they want to keep it secret. They want someone that they can trust to tell all their problems to. So I think once people start doing that, then I think they quite like it. And they also like the fact that, you know, they might have a team that they can't discuss everything with. So I'm sort of a safe space for them to come to talk about things. But yeah, building trust, I think it's just talking really, and relationship building, and showing kindness, empathy and support, which is all the things I love. You know, I love to work with business owners and I love to work with them deeply, because it all starts with their emotions are all tied up in their business. Starting a business is a really personal thing. All your hopes and dreams are tied up in it. So if it's going wrong or if it's going right, it's really emotional. So the two are joined. It's not, you know, when I start working with people, the first thing I want to know is, what do they want out of this personally? Because I think a lot of people go into business and they're just trying to get the sales, not really thinking, oh, but why did I go into business? What do I actually want from this? How do I want my business to work for me? And I think that's the key to getting it all sorted. And I think people like to have me there to discuss all these types of things with. Worries, or, you know, I'm there for the good times and the bad. I always say that to my clients. So it's yeah, just I think people just learn to trust you in the end, because they know that you're there for their own, you know, to help them. I'm not there to rip people off or to give them bad advice, or I'm genuinely there because I want the best. I want them to get the best, because I know how hard it is to build and run a business. So it's important to me that the business owner is getting as much as they can in terms of what they want from it emotionally, financially and otherwise, you know.
Yeah, I think the finance industry as a whole it's always seemed quite closed off, hasn't it, and serious and dour. And to
Yeah.
have a friendly face and a confidant that is welcoming and open and will listen to you must be completely revolutionary for some people, because I imagine they've probably just been faced with serious bank managers in their past and things like that. And to have someone like you must be a completely breath of fresh air. So yeah, it's really interesting to hear. So I want to go back to something you just said as well. You said people usually come to you to the point when they are in dire financial straits and they're burying their heads in the sand. What do you think it is about money and finance that kind of makes people get to that point where it gets like that?
I think finance can be scary, and I think a lot of people think, I can't do numbers, I can't do finance. I get someone else does that for me, and I don't need to think about it. But everyone can understand finance. I really love my clients to be able to understand the finances, and I'll explain, portray them in a way so that they can be understood. If someone doesn't like looking at a load of numbers, we can do graphs, we can do, you know, other things, or just pick out key numbers. But it's important that business owners understand their finances, because the buck stops with them. You know, if you've lost all your money and your business is folding, you can't blame it on the accountant. You know, because it's in your best interest to understand what's going on. And also there's a kind of magic then in the numbers. If you can understand, this number means this holiday for me, or this, you know, I need to sell this many things to, you know, to achieve this, and then you can see how the numbers can be tweaked, then it becomes quite exciting, because you just know then what targets you've got to hit. If you fall short of your targets, what that's going to mean for your business. Just think simple things like that. Even if your business is really doing badly, and you've not wanted to face it, So let's say you make a decision, you're going to face it this day one, and it's really bad, then you know that day two is going to be better. You know, it can't go any worse than it is now, because now you're getting to grips with it and you're understanding it. So I always urge people to, you know, understand their finances. I don't understand people who stick with accountants who only do year end for them. They never have any conversations with them during the year, and then they're too scared because they don't want to look stupid in front of the accountant to ask what this number means or that number. I mean, it's crazy. No, you're paying these people, so they should be able to explain something to you, you know. You shouldn't be fearful of your accountant. They should be your ally.
Yeah, yeah, you always hear stories, don't you, of people that are worried of telling their bank manager or the accountant or anything like that because they feel like they're going to get told off. And you should be working
Yeah.
in partnership, shouldn't you? Not in fear
Yeah.
of them. So how important are soft skills with what you do? Because like we said, it's a very emotional thing. So what do you think the most important soft skills are for someone working in finance?
Well, I think you need to try and understand where the business owner is coming from and where they're trying to go. Even, you know, they probably don't think the same as I do, but it's important so that you can get on board with them and help them on that journey wherever they want to go. And, you know, just to be kind, warm, be that safe space for somebody, everything like that is really important. I mean, I was lucky when I set up my accountancy practice. I joined a group of what were then revolutionary accountants. They were doing things differently, and all of it was about this offering more than just your year-end numbers. You know, it was being a partner to a business owner throughout the year and helping them achieve their goals, so that you're an investment rather than a cost to the company. You know, I should always be adding value to that business, and that's the way I've always worked. I suppose I didn't come from an accountancy practice background. I came from a business background. I've always worked in businesses, so my practice was set up just on my gut feel. It wasn't set up how others are necessarily. I don't know, because I've never worked in one, but I imagine it was different because I knew I wanted to achieve that. You know, I wanted the client to welcome the clients. I wanted them to enjoy spending time and not, oh God, I've got to see the accountant today. I didn't want that experience for my clients, so tried to do it differently, I think.
Yeah, I think that you're doing it very differently. It's really refreshing to hear all this, making me want to work with you. Okay, so let's move on a little bit then. So what are the most common challenges you see new business owners facing with their finances?
I always tend to work with businesses that are a couple of years old, so it's not that tiny, you know, first little steps, but it's always the same things. If they're growing, it's probably cash flow problems, and or if they're doing badly actually, and profitability. So there's, you know, you can be really busy, but you might not be making enough profits to generate what income you want to do in your personal life. So yeah, it's always the same thing. So it's systems and processes, probably a lack of them in newish businesses. And then, so even a system to make sure you get paid on time, chase people if they haven't paid you and you need to be paid, even if you hire somebody for an hour a week, you know, to get that off your hands, because it can be quite embarrassing if you're ringing up your own clients and chasing them, or set up an accounts email accounts app so you can chase from there. Cash flow, it's normally about putting budgets together and cash flow forecasts so that you don't hit any problems. It's taking time out as well to work on your business so that you've got time to put these plans in place and measure how you're doing throughout the year, rather than just ploughing on and looking at this and charging that. Make sure you're doing pricing reviews. Things like that will all affect your cash flow and your profitability, which are the main two things, apart from burnout, of course, and your work-life balance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one at the minute, isn't it? A big one, burnout and
Yeah.
work-life balance. Okay. What is the most rewarding part of your job?
It's great to have the flexibility, and it might not feel like it at the time, because obviously it's quite worrying as well if you don't have that regular salary coming in the beginning. But I mean, I think I've been unemployable for years now, so I don't think I don't think I could ever work for anyone again. It's just, I think that's the payback though for all the risk and everything. You know, is that the flexibility to take time off, work your own hours, you know, and yeah, just that sort of outweighs for me any of the pain and the excess hours I've worked and all of that, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And what's the most challenging part of your job?
Um, well, I suppose when I had my practice, it was always the bigger the team got, then the bigger the team, the longer you have to spend on team things. I think that's the challenge of growing, as well as your making sure you're profitable and your cash flow. You have to spend a lot of time developing your team. And of course, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You want people, you want your team to be happy. It's just that it becomes a different kind of business then when there's a team involved. Now I suppose I used to worry about that quite a lot. You know, are they happy? Are they content? What are they doing? We need to make it as enjoyable as possible while they're here. Have they all got enough work? What are they, you know, that does take up a lot of time, and that's without any people problems as such happening. But that, I think that's, now I don't have a team and I'm back to working on my own, I find it is much less stressful for me, I must admit. But I think I was just building. The bigger I got, the mistake I made in my business was the bigger I got, the bigger the job I was building for myself. I didn't find not a mini me, but somebody who I could share that load with, I suppose, until, yeah, early enough. So yeah, that's something I would recommend to all businesses. If you're growing, you need somebody else, a number two, if you like, to or a co-director or a co-partner to share the load with, really.
So how do you find work-life balance?
I suppose I'm a bit more strict now with myself. In the early days, I was so, you know, engulfed by the business and what was happening that I would never switch off, even on holiday. And now I just, I suppose I've got sort of a portfolio career now, so I'm not a full-time worker. I've got clients, I've got my charity stuff, I've got more personal stuff, I've got a little side thing going on. So it's all spread out, and I find it's not a full-time, probably full-time all added up together, but because it's in different areas, it's not as stressful. And it's, you know, I don't work evenings, weekends, because I don't have that huge number of clients anymore that I used to have.
Yeah, and you can pick and choose the things you want to work on each day, and yeah, it just
Yeah,
makes it more varied and fun, doesn't it? No, I
yeah,
totally agree.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so with the work that you do, one of the services that you offer, or one of the things that you do, is helping people that want to exit their business. Tell me a
Mm.
little bit about how you do that and what's kind of involved with that.
Um, I I really like this part, but it's very, very stressful for the business owner to sell their business. And I don't think it should be underestimated at all, the toll it takes on people. Um, So I've been with various businesses that have gone through to sale. So from my job, from a finance perspective, there's a lot of information that is required by the people doing due diligence, the potential buyer. And so it's not just financial either. It'll be everything: agreements, clients, insurances, tax and the accounts, of course, but everything else. So if you're a business who's been trading for 10, 15 years and you haven't got proper systems in place, you haven't got everything documented, it's going to be a lot of catch-up work to do. And all the while the business owner's going through that, they have still got to hit their targets, make the business look as good as it was when this potential buyer came on board. So you can't let things drop. You've got to keep going, keep growing, keep hitting those targets. Otherwise, the person will just back out. But equally, you've got to spend all this time providing information. So where I come in on that is liaising with the buyers finance people, a sort of a step between the buyer and my client, if you like, so to ease their stress, really. So I'll be the one providing all the finance stuff, the insurance stuff, everything else. If I have access to all that, I can do that as well. There'll be lots of information required on the team. And it goes on and on and on. And then once the first lot of stuff goes, and then they've looked through all that, they will then come back and they'll want a load more stuff. Then they'll want to know how are you getting on now? So it's sort of never ending. And it can be quite a long process. You know, I was with one client who, for various reasons, not my clients, the buyers dropped out. So it didn't sell until the third buyer. And so all this information then has to keep being updated and provided again. It's just quite grueling for the business owner. But obviously it's great when it goes through. It's fantastic because they've, you know, that was their end goal, and so they've achieved their goal. But yeah, then there are other people involved apart from a finance person. You know, you need legal people, you need somebody who's going to do the deal or agree the deal. Although I've been with a client who did all the deal. She brokered all the deal herself. Didn't get anyone else involved at all. Just somebody legal, but minimally. So I suppose it depends how you're set up and how you want to, what type of business you've got, if you've been approached by somebody or if you've got to go to the market to see if anyone's interested, then you probably need a few more people involved in that. Yeah, but I like all that. I quite find that all exciting. So especially when they get their money.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it must feel so rewarding when you get to celebrate in their successes and when things do
Yeah.
come through for them. Like, that must feel so rewarding doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and especially the client that I'd or one of the, you know, I'd applied to the ad. Basically, they wanted some finance help, and there were just the two directors, you know, and then for them to grow and grow, and then I stayed with them all that time until they sold. It was really good. Yeah, in the end.
I love it. Okay. Right. What what are your top tips for any entrepreneurs to get on top of their finances?
So I would say definitely get yourself some digital account software. Don't do it on spreadsheets, because that'll keep everything up to date, and it's easy to do things like back returns, payroll, things like that will automatically be done and submitted via and also HMRC requirements will be changing, and soon everything will have to be submitted probably quarterly. I mean, it could take a few years, but I think that's the way we're going. So if it's all on digital software, you've got it all there, and you've got data capture apps that can integrate with the software, so all your receipts go straight into the software, nothing gets missing. And then I would get help with the bookkeeping, even if you just do it once a quarter, just something so that you're not spending your time trying to understand it and plow through it, as well as, you know, building your business. You've got your business to build. So I would definitely say that. And I think I had a few mentors and coaches as well throughout my journey, which were brilliant. You know, they're brilliant if you're on your own and you know you don't have anyone else you can talk to, or you don't want to share too much with other people. Then that's brilliant. You know, that can be a brilliant help as well.
Yeah, those are all really, really good tips. So you mentioned earlier on that you've got a few little side hustles, you do a little bit of charity work. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the charity work, I'm on the strategic board at Loughborough, which you know Loughborough? Do you know Loughborough?
Yeah.
Who they help lots of hidden gem causes around Birmingham. So I've been with them 18 months maybe, and I also do the finances for them. Oh, I don't do the finances, sorry. They have bookkeepers, but I am the treasurer, if you like, as well. So there's Loughborough, and then I'm a business mentor with the Prince's Trust. So they actually, if any young people have set up their own business, their Prince's Trust are a good place to go, actually, because they do grants and they do lots of courses and things for young entrepreneurs. So as does TAG, I have to say. And also I'm a mentor with Small Business Britain. That's another organisation that does loads of stuff for small businesses. They do lots of stuff around sustainability as well at the moment. So they're a good, even if you just join their Facebook group or something, they're good to get on board with. And they also, for any female entrepreneurs, every year they do their F Entrepreneur 100, where you can nominate someone or nominate yourself, and they choose 100 women a year who are doing, it's hashtag I also. So I run a business, but I also work for a charity, or I also, you know, lots of things like that. So I was one of their F Entrepreneur 100 a couple of years ago. But that's a good, you know, it's just good to surround yourself with other good business people, isn't it? And so I do my charity stuff, and then my little side hustle is upcycling furniture, which I've not done too many bits of, but I've got some cocktail cabinets to upcycle. So I could get on with that. That's quite relaxing, I find.
Yeah, do you find having a creative outlet, it kind of helps you switch off at the end of the day, or do you find it's like more challenging, or how do you find it?
No, I love it, actually. I love being around creative people as well. I'm from a family of creatives, so it's a bit weird that I do finance. So yeah, I like creative things as well. So yeah.
Okay, cool. What made you get involved with Loughborough?
I think because I knew I didn't know anyone in Birmingham, and I thought it's good to get involved with the charity. So I was just looking for a charity to join, and then so I joined as an individual member, and then they were looking for trustees at some point. So I thought, yeah. So that's when I applied and spoke to people then. So yeah, I just joined as a member because I was just looking for nice things to, you know, in Birmingham to do and to be part of.
Yeah, I think it's a really great way to meet people, isn't it? Like you're connecting over giving back and doing something worthwhile, but you're with people that also believe in doing that. So, you know, you're probably going to end up meeting someone quite interesting, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the 3 final questions that I'm asking everybody then. Let's do it. Okay, so what's one piece of advice you wish you'd had at the start of your career?
This was the one that I couldn't find an answer to. The one piece of advice, well, I suppose not to be, it's easy to, you know, to think I don't know anything, what am I doing, but everybody feels like that, when they're starting out. So I'd say go for it. It can be a really enjoyable, it's led me to meet so many wonderful people and to have a wonderful lifestyle that I wouldn't have had if I'd just been an employee. I'm not saying to anyone to be reckless and, leave a job and you've got no financial security or anything. I think I would have been on maternity leave anyway, so I kind of had a natural break. I wouldn't just stop sticks and walk out of a job if it's going to cause you hardship, but it is very rewarding building your own business. Don't be scared.
That's a really good answer off the top of your head. You smashed it. Okay. Love it. What is one book, talk, or podcast that's really inspired you?
I listen to so many, read so much, but a book that I always come back to is The 12-Week Year. And it's all about planning, surprise, surprise. So you treat every quarter of the year as though it was a year. So it's a 12-week year. The 13th week, in case you're thinking there's 52 weeks, the 13th week is like a review week and you look back. And it's a way of, because I find this time and time again, let's say you've got your budget for the year and you're 3 months in and you haven't had any income, or you've had £1,000 when you should have had 20,000 on your target. And so you think, oh, I'll make that up. And then, of course, it ends up slipping off the end of the year. So you could be £20,000, £50,000, £100,000 down against target at the end of the year. Whereas when you read the 12-week year, you set out a target for each week and you measure that target, and it gives you more time to catch up than if you waited till the end of the real 52-week year. So it's just kind of a planning. But the aim is to help you achieve more than you do in a year, because you're breaking it down more. I just find it really helpful to look at it in that way.
Yeah, I've not heard of that one. I'll have to check it out. Okay. And what is one person, who is one person that has really inspired you?
This is a weird one. Well, it's not weird, but I think I've got unusual choices. I'm going for two women here, Trini and Caroline Hirons, both in the female arenas. So, and they've both run they're similar ages, I think, and they both run their businesses differently. Trini launched her makeup, is it makeup only, and a bit of skincare brand, and got funding to do her way. And Caroline Hirons is an expert in the beauty industry. She's only just launched the first part of her own skincare range because she's funded it all herself. So two women doing different things, but in my eyes, they're both really good female role models, and they're very supportive to women. Really can't show kindness and empathy in their businesses, and I just think they're really really inspiring women.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like Trini is absolutely everywhere at the minute, but the thing I like about her is she always looks like she's having loads of fun doing what she's doing, doesn't she?
Yeah, and she's really generous with her time and how she helps people feel more confident. The same with Caroline Hirons. I mean, they're just amazing in their fields.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, Kate, thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom with us today. If anybody watching wants to find out more about you, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, just Kay Daniels, and Instagram, I'm at The Financial Female. That's it, really. Thank you for having me.